Hey everybody, my name is Al Nicoletti. I'm an attorney here in Florida, and welcome to the Al Nicoletti Show, where I bring on real estate super investors, rising rock stars, movers and shakers, and leaders of clubs in their community that educate, entertain, and inspire all things Florida real estate on how you can take your company to the next level. Well, on my show today, I have the wonderful Beth Burnett from the Tampa, Florida area in that Pinellas County, the Palm Harbor, all of that great surrounding areas. A crazy story about how Beth and I first met. So if you don't know what I do a lot of speaking and webinars and seminars on all different topics in probate and real estate stuff. And for a while last year, I did 2 webinars with the foreclosuresdaily.com crew, and I was crushing it with all of the probate stuff. And so eventually things were opening up a little bit more in Tampa with COVID. And so what we did was I had a gig down at the Tampa REIA. And when I first got to Tampa REIA, I didn't know anybody that was there. I knew Tangi Cousins that was there. I knew Viviana, but I don't know if Viviana had been there for that meeting. But I was back by the bar area, and then in comes Tangi, and then in comes Beth. And Beth was like, "Oh my gosh, it's Al Nicoletti. I can't believe it." And I was like, "What's going on right now?" I felt like an absolute celebrity, and she wanted my picture. She wanted to know what was going on. And from that moment, Beth and I really connected. I did the seminar, and after we met at the Bahama Breeze and talked about the different stuff in real estate, and she is just full of life, ready to go, tons of energy. She loves that Tampa market, and she is going to talk about on the show today working with investors. Very different from a clientele of realtors and title companies and all of that. And she's going to be talking about proactive listing agents, what that means and how it applies to you and how you can take advantage of that concept. And most importantly, I talk about this all the time, working with probate leads. Beth's going to dive in, and I'm going to ask her questions. What do you mean? What are you talking about? How does this apply, and how do you tackle it? And not only that, she is a marketing queen. She loves the marketing stuff. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Beth. Beth, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much, Al. And it's such a pleasure to be here today. I do want to go back to what you were talking about when you came to Tampa to speak at the REIA meeting. And I did think you were a rock star. It was funny because you were getting to meet me for the first time, but I felt like I knew you because I did meet you through foreclosuresdaily.com, through Tangi. I had an investor who had signed up for probate leads. I worked those leads. And in doing so, you had actually done a webinar for foreclosuresdaily.com that I had watched, and I was totally schooled. I just felt completely educated by the information that you shared. So I went to your YouTube channel and I began to follow your videos. And I became like the Al Nicoletti junkie, right? Like, I mean, I was watching your videos while I was washing dishes, while I'm working out, I'm like trying to absorb all of this information because I do have a great fascination with and spoke at the REIA meeting. And for those of you who don't know, REIA stands for Real Estate Investor Association. If you're anything to do with real estate, I highly recommend joining REIA. I was licensed in 3 states, and when I was licensed in Indiana and Illinois, I went to the REIA meetings, and that's how I found the REIA when I moved to Florida. I've learned more from my REIA meetings and from my REIA investors than I ever have in any real estate school. Like, just a wealth of information. They have meaty, speakers like you, just so much knowledge. And I'm also a knowledge junkie. So, as realtors, we're supposed to get so many hours of CEs every year, depending on what state you're in, 12 or 14 or I hit 100 last year. Like, I just could not stop taking the classes.
That's a great topic to talk about too, because being a part of a real estate investor community or a real estate community like the RIAs, has so many benefits, and we're going to get in there. But tell everybody who Beth is. Who is Beth Burnett? Where were you before real estate? And what are you doing now? And let's then dive in on the REIA stuff,
Sure.
because so many
Yes.
people want to know about, first of all, how do you get involved in any kind of real estate investing, right? It's all about
Yeah.
REIAs, it's all about the community. And then we're going to talk about some of those classes too, because Dustin does an amazing job over
I
there.
love Dustin. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and Frank Everhart in the Sarasota area does an amazing job. Shout out to Frank. Hopefully he's watching this. He'll download it, and we'll be doing stuff down in Sarasota. But who is Beth? Tell everybody.
Okay, so I got into real estate back in 1990. I bought my first flip when I was 18 years old. My ex-husband and I bought a home that was ugly, the green shag carpet and the fussy wallpaper, and we flipped it, and we made a large amount of money, and we had so much fun doing it. Let's do it again. This was before HDTV, before internet, before we knew what flippers were. So we started flipping, and we did that. Along the way, that was our side thing. Along the way, we owned many businesses. So, like a lot of people who are in real estate, I'm an entrepreneur. I've owned several businesses, and all across the spectrum, everything from car lots to photography studios. So, as an entrepreneur, I'm always trying to not reinvent the wheel, but I look at the wheel and look at what everybody else is doing and try to improve on it and try to see what are they doing to make my business better. And it kind of goes that way when you own a business, and you have to be good at marketing, or you can delegate it out, hire people that are good at marketing. And that's something that I've learned too, hanging out with business people, is absorbing much of, they learn from their mistakes, and I learn from their mistakes too. So I try not to repeat those mistakes. So I got into owning several businesses, and then we became very successful. We were very blessed. We did the whole Dave Ramsey thing. Are you familiar with Dave Ramsey?
I've heard of
Financial.
him. I've seen him, I think maybe on the CNBC. Maybe he's kind of synonymous with Susie Orman and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm kind of familiar.
So we were living in Nashville back in the 90s, and we became, big Dave Ramsey fans, and we went to the Financial Peace University. We got out of debt, and that included our business. Our business was debt-free, zero debt. And we built this big, beautiful house, debt-free. It got hit by a tornado.
What?
Yes, took our house away with us in it. Thank God we all lived. We had 5 children at the time. And it completely changed my perspective on life. What is this American dream we're chasing? I'm driving a Mercedes. I have cars. I have horses. I have this big 20-some acre farm. And, you can chase after that dream. And then when you've got it, then what? And so this caused me to change my perspective on life. What am I supposed to be doing in this world? What's my purpose here on this earth that I can do to make this world a better place? And so that very short time of being homeless after we lost our home made me have a heart for homeless people. So we moved to Israel, and we started a homeless shelter. And we took in over 300 people in about 3 or 4 years' time. And all the while running a business in a foreign country. That's what supported the ministry of having the homeless shelter. And having a business, owning businesses in a foreign country, it's a completely different dynamic than owning a business in America as an American. Being a new immigrant in another country is not easy. Especially, I think we were there for 4 wars. So that also makes you appreciate things and look at things differently.
Right.
So I'm really grateful for those experiences, because after 10 years in the Middle East, when I came back to America, I think I was a little bit more driven. We all talk about Simon Sinek and the, what's your why? And so over the years, between tornadoes, living through war, owning businesses, and homeless shelters in other countries, my why continues to evolve. of course, having 7 children, my why is big.
Right.
So I'm very driven in that way, and I'm very, very passionate. So when I did decide to return to America, and by the way, I'm a Remax real estate agent. I was working at Remax in Jerusalem, but my Hebrew wasn't good enough to be an agent there. So I did property management for some of the investors. So I had a little bit of a taste of what the real estate world was like in another country. So when I got back to America in 2015, I just jumped right into real estate, got my license in Indiana, then in Illinois because I was right on the border, and started working with Remax there. And yeah, so that was my start in real estate.
Like I was saying backstage, Beth, it's amazing when you meet people at the RIAs or you meet them at the community meetings. You're thinking, okay, this is somebody, they have a business, but you don't really know what their backstory is until you really sit down with them. So where was the tornado? Where was that?
That was in Tennessee,
Okay, so what year was that?
2003, May 5th, 2003.
Wow. Yeah, because I remember in 2012 and 2013, there was that series of tornadoes that were hitting like every part of the country. But this is like 2003. So before the whole financial crisis, and then to just pack up everything and go to Israel and open up a homeless shelter for people there. These are things that you wouldn't know but for you and I sitting down to talk about them, and like and that's what kind of person you are. Like, you're here to help others, and
Yes.
nobody knows that until we talk about this. And which is why when I eventually have my studio, where there's nothing here yet but eventually there will be, like, that's when I really want you in here to sit down, dive in on that whole experience and dive deep, because that's where I think is a great podcast topic about people, because you see them as, oh, they're the owner of the business, they own this house and condo, but you don't know what they've been through and what those experiences have led them to be today. So
Right.
fascinating. That, and then you came back after Israel, like when? So you moved to Israel and then you came back to Florida directly?
I went back to Indiana, and I was licensed as a realtor in Indiana and Illinois. I'm from Chicago. I was born in Chicago, so Chicago's my hometown. So Northwest Indiana is just 30 minutes outside of Chicago, and property taxes are very high in Illinois, almost 4 times what they are in Indiana. So we had a flood of people moving out of Illinois into Indiana. So it only made sense to get my license in both states. And yeah.
So yeah, I could see why you would want to get licensed there if it's easy to get both. What attracted you so much though to the Florida market? Because you eventually moved down to Florida with
I
family.
did. I moved here almost 2 years ago, right about 2 years ago. And the winter in Chicago 2 winters ago, or 2 years ago, 3 winters ago, was it was record breaking. The cold, the snow, and of course, as a realtor, um, people aren't moving when it's 30 degrees below zero and there's 5 feet of snow on the ground. People aren't moving. So you hit this dead period in the winter as a realtor, and thank God I always stayed pretty busy. I always had a couple of deals in the pipeline. But 2 winters ago, there was a lot of things going on in my life personally and a lot of things going on in my life professionally. Um, my furnace went out on my house, my pipes froze, and my brand new car slid down an icy driveway over the mailbox. All of this happened like in 1 week. And then the snowplow came and plowed one of our vehicles with like this mountain of snow. And it took us like 6 hours to shovel the car out of the snow. And every time I was shoveling, I was thinking, why don't I live in Florida? Why am I shoveling snow? I hate snow. Why am I living here?
Right.
And at that time, a lot of my baby birds were leaving the nest. I had 7 children and they were all starting to grow up and move to all parts of the world. And so I thought, well, why stay put? My children are going to be spread out anyway. Why not be where it's warm? And so I started to do research on the housing market in Florida. And I felt that according to my research, Tampa had such growth and a projected forecast for continued growth that I felt that it was a wise choice. Didn't know anyone here. I moved here. I moved to Tampa just based on a pure business decision. It was solely, well, that, and of course, the West Coast are less likely to have issues with, hurricanes, and but the West Coast was attractive to me, and specifically Tampa for the housing market. So I was already working with investors in the Indiana area. In fact, I had been a manager for an acquisitions team, a gentleman who owned 5 companies, 40 employees, and bought and sold over 100 homes a year. And I was really thankful to live in his shadow for a while, kind of under his wings, because he was a very good mentor, always willing to teach. And so he and his family and their beautiful business taught me so much working in acquisitions. And one of the things that I love about my job in real estate, I'm an analytical person. I love numbers and I love, research. So part of my job in acquisitions was to just plug numbers all day into performas. And he had created a really brilliant performa. I'm always surprised when I meet an investor who doesn't use performas, because I don't know, I can't wrap my head around that. I don't really understand.
What is that? Because I don't do anything that investors and realtors or anybody does. So, like, for those that are listening out there, like, what is that? Because you'll have a lot of people listening to this podcast or the show. I call it a show. I don't really call it a podcast. It's a show, that have no idea about any of these things, right? So, just like you, before you got into it, they're doctors, they're professionals. They could be nurses. They could be people that build their wealth and now they want to know what to do. So what is performa?
So a performa, and I believe that you can probably duplicate them from other people willing to share them, or you can create your own. This particular performa was an Excel spreadsheet, and the columns on one side would be the address, and the columns across the top would be the cost of the property, the ARV, or the after doing research for, because basically you're just looking up comps. You're looking at sold properties with comparable square footage, same amount of bedrooms and baths. And so we would plug in the ARV, we would plug in the cost of repairs. So a lot of times I would go out with what they called a field guy, but he's basically an estimate writer or a contractor. And we would go to the property together, and he would fill out a form that was their standard form that they use, that said, okay, we're going to need $10,000 for new windows, and we're going to need, $15,000 for a new roof. Maybe it needs a new kitchen and new flooring. So he would fill out the estimate repair sheet and give it to me. And then I would plug that number into the performa. He had customized just performa to not allow me to make a mistake. It was foolproof. So if I put the price in, let's say the property was going to cost $150,000, and let's say repairs were going to be $50,000, and the ARV is going to be $300,000. So all of these numbers, the performa would spit out a number for me to bid on that property and not go over, because he had already pre-programmed and customized this performa into this Excel spreadsheet. So I didn't have to ask anybody for permission before I bid on properties, because the performa told me, you don't go higher than this, otherwise you're going to lose your profit.
So great statistical analysis to help you with all of the real estate, basically.
Exactly.
Right? A foolproof formula to help you figure out, is the deal worth it? What are we looking at metrics wise? Where can people find that? Is that like a flow chart, a sheet, or is that like an actual software program?
He had developed his himself, but I believe that some of these coaches that teach people how to get into real estate investing, like Dustin, like Don DeRosa, Larry Harbold, some of these wonderful, experienced, seasoned veteran investors, they have them and they let you use theirs, or maybe you can buy programs. Certainly, you could definitely buy programs that have them, or you can just customize your own. One of the things that I liked about the investor that I was doing acquisitions for, his performa not only told me how much I could bid on it, but it would tell me I could put rents in there. Like, if I knew that a 3-2 with a 2 garage in a certain area was going to bring in $1,400 a month, again, it would tell me how high to bid, and then it would spit out my cap rate and the return on investment. So it could give me a full spread. It would also tell me if it was worth buying it as a flip and fix, if it was worth buying it as a rental, or if it was worth wholesaling. So all the numbers were just right there for me. So I'm not a math genius by any means, but this made it easy. So
Right.
when you have the tools, I think it's definitely something. And I also think that if realtors are ever going to get into investing in any way, shape, or form, they have to be educated in these things, because if you're not, the investor isn't going to have any respect for you, because you're not going to know. I can go and look at a property and call my investors and they never look at it. They tell me what to offer. And there's been times where I've corrected them and say, no, that's too high. Don't offer that.
And that's the importance of being involved in a REIA, right?
Yes,
This is where it
very.
transitions, right? Because you need to be educated enough to understand whether it's the wholesaling, flipping, doing numbers, statistical analysis, metrics. There's so many, private lending, all of those things. There's value to RIAs. I love RIAs, right? Jack's RIA is basically where I was able to start doing my platform for what I do, and getting out there, probate, right? And so
Yes.
for other people too, I mean, you have Gonzalo Corzo and Dominic Felix in Jacksonville that love the wholesaling, and they do classes here. I saw G last night, Gonzalo. He was doing the wholesaling stuff, but he was teaching people. He's like, "This is how you look stuff up on Zillow. This is how you look stuff up on the property appraiser." But basic things that people don't think about or realize, what is that? Like, how do you look up properties? How do you look up property tax stuff? And then, Jack's RIA they have their quick start classes. They have their master classes, which I love. They have seminars on Saturdays. And then I see what's here. And then Yellowbird's doing what they're doing with an amazing community here in Jacksonville. And then it's fascinating when I was able to go down to Tampa with Tangi and Dustin, and then see that really that's what Dustin's trying to also do down in the Tampa area. And I love the fact that he brings people in to teach on topics, to talk about things, to educate. It's all about educating. There's no selling. It's not like
Yes.
for $10,000 you could buy my program, but within like 30 minutes, if you show up, it's $500, and if you're the first one, it's $10. They're not doing that. It's all educating. And so there are all of these classes and tools, and you can become a member easily. I think some of them are $30 a month, or it comes out to like, $200, $250 for the year, which really pays back once you get your first flip, which could be about like a $5,000 assignment fee, or a listing that you get commission for $6,000. So there's major benefits in the RIAs and the real estate investor associations. What
Yes.
is your perspective on all of that? Not from my end about the attorney perspective, but the realtor perspective. And as a member and attendee of these RIAs, watching people like Dustin lead, watching people like Frank Everhart, right? For those that don't know Frank Everhart is a major leader in the Sarasota area, and he has the Sarasota RIA. And Frank also hosts the Florida Roundtable that he does, and it's a different group, but it includes people in Polk County and Tampa and Sarasota, a little bit more spread out outside of the Sarasota area. But there's these RIAs that maybe people have or have not heard about that provide benefit. So Beth,
Yeah.
talk to us all about this RIA benefit.
So my perspective on it is, like you said, there's a lot of education, there's a lot of knowledge to be gotten at these places, and you can't cap on that knowledge. talking about Frank and the roundtable, when I first went to the roundtable about a year and a half ago, I felt like I was sitting in a room full of greatness. Here are these, seasoned veteran investors. I'm sitting at a table full of millionaires, and I'm thinking, they have so much to give and so much to offer. Why aren't there more realtors here? I think I was the only realtor in the room, and just to sit in a room with that kind of information was such a privilege and such an honor. I just kept going back for more. And Frank is such a good-hearted person. He's just such a good, down-to-earth man, and he wants to. And look, these people are raising the bar for this industry. They are raising the bar because they're not only bringing in good information. I mean, and you as an attorney can appreciate this. There are so many laws that are changing all the time. And so by going to these REIA meetings and Frank's Roundtable and all of these, I'm learning what's new. I'm learning. One of the meetings that I went to, they had, and gosh, I forget his name, but he was an eviction specialist, and he was just talking about all the laws with eviction. And those are important for realtors to know, because some of the information that I learned there was, let's say I have a listing, and I have a listing that has a tenant in it, which we get quite often. He explained what the laws are as far as showing that property, and what kind of time, frame you have to give, and what kind of notice you have to give. And, if that tenant doesn't allow you to see the property within 7 days, what actions you need to take. It was very informative for me as a realtor, but also as an investor. So, my perspective on the REIA meetings, I don't understand why more realtors don't go to them. I mean, thankfully, all of our boards, we've got the Pinellas Realtor Organization, we've got GTAR, the Greater Tampa. We can go and take their classes, and they're great. They're really good, and I take a lot of them. But sometimes there's a wealth of information to be gotten from other avenues, and I think we need to explore all of those avenues. So REIA is just one of those forms. Talking about probates, I actually met Tangi at one of these REIA meetings, and she has been a great source of and not just a source of information, but like networking. How many times have I had somebody say, I need a plumber, or I need a contractor, or I need this or that, and there it is. I've got I'm able to network through those connections that I've made at these meetings. And so I've really kind of fallen in love with probates, because I mean, if you ask the majority of realtors, they want leads, right? We all need leads. Are you buying leads from Zillow, or where are you getting your leads? I think this is a very unique niche that a lot of realtors haven't tapped into yet. And funny, one of my managers, one of my brokers up north, before I moved from Chicago, I called my manager and I said, look, I can't take the snow anymore. I got to go where it's warm. And they said to me, well, you get to sell all the houses in Florida twice. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, well, you sell it to them when they retire, and then a few years later, you get to sell it again when they've passed away. And I hadn't thought of that, as morbid as that sounds. I hadn't thought of it in a, positive way, but we do have an older, population here. And so, and as well as retirees, we do have a younger generation of people that are moving here. In 2019, we bumped Texas for being #1 in domestic immigration. Before 2019, and I haven't gotten the 2020 numbers back yet, but I'm sure they're similar. In 2019, we absorbed here in Florida 133,000 new residents. Now, you'll hear the numbers that say we get about 1,000 people a day. 133,000, 1,000 people doesn't add up. That's because when you do the math, you've got people who are passing away, people who are leaving. But the correct number is around 1,000 people a day that we're absorbing into Florida.
Wow.
So
that's
right.
Lot.
So so Texas is #2 for domestic immigration, or internal relocation within the United States. But I also get a lot of people. Now, COVID changed things with people moving here from outside of the United States. We actually had a lot of Canadians that had to leave because they were locked out of the country.
Right.
So yeah, COVID changed things a bit, but we still have a lot of foreign investors. I get contacted all the time by foreign investors, people who are bringing their money to Florida to invest.
So Beth, before we get into probate, so just so everybody knows, what are the big RIAs that you really enjoy and learn a lot from in that surrounding Tampa area? So we have Sarasota RIA.
Yep, we have
y-
SARIA or Sarasota REIA. We have Tampa REIA, Tampa Bay REIA. We have Beach REIA, which is the third Thursday, I believe, of every month. We meet at Hooters and we network. And they have a big dry erase board and they put all their off-market deals up on the board. Again, you can just network and meet wonderful people and learn a lot. So there's Beach REIA. So then there's the Pasco REIA. I think
Really?
that's Andrea Bryant. Is it Andrea Bryant or what is the name of their group? I'm not quite sure. I don't get up to Pasco too often. I live in Pinellas. I mostly work Pinellas and Hillsborough. I do have a listing in Lakeland right now. Again, that's one of my investor deals.
I didn't know they even had a Pasco RIA. So that's the thing, is that if you're not in a local market and you're just looking online and you're like, oh, wonder what RIAs are there. If you don't know and you're not there, you don't hear about these little ones, right? So you may hear of Jacksonville RIA, right? But you don't know about Jacksonville REIF, which is now the Cash Geeks Network, which is kind of cool.
Okay,
Dominic,
fun.
Dominic Felix and Gonzalo Corzo took over that meeting. They meet, I think it was like, I can't remember, it's the first Tuesday or second Tuesday of the month, but they
Yes.
host a meeting every month now, changed it to Cash Geeks Network. And then you have Yellowbird, which is major here. So it's like when you tell me Pasco's RIA and then the Beach RIA, it's like if you look that up online, you can't see that unless they know a local like you, because you hear about these ones that are hidden. Like I bet Polk County has one that I don't even know about. And then you have
Could very
Orlando's.
well be. Yeah. And if you go on Facebook and just go up in the search bar and type in REIA, REIA, no, RIA, Real Estate Investor Association.
Right.
You'll see it, but if you go on Facebook and do a search, you'll find the groups. I do have a Facebook group that's Pinellas County Foreclosures and Wholesale Properties, and people can just plug in, whatever they come across.
So it's amazing because, again, I think RIAs are super valuable for people that are looking to get into investing and looking to do all of that stuff. And if you haven't gotten into it, go to your local one and see what you can do about getting involved. Beth, let's dive in on probate. So you were talking about that, how it's becoming a huge niche. Many realtors still don't even know about it really that much yet. Eventually everyone, well, I'm sure, will be doing it about 20 years, right? It'll be like, oh, probate, oh yeah, we do that, yeah, no problem. um
Yes.
but there's, I guess there's so many different things about probate from your perspective that people don't know. Plus the fact that Tampa, I have a stat, I think I showed it to everybody when I was at Dustin's thing, about how 1/3 of the inventory in Tampa, Florida alone by 2037 is going to be baby boomers. And so then you have number 3 and 4, which was Miami and Orlando. So the top 4 in terms of baby boomer owned properties over 65 is massive. So
Yes.
I talk about the silver tsunami and what's coming, because they call that, I think Zillow called it that, and then I forgot who else called it. As many people are talking about the silver tsunami coming. But in your world of probate and like working probate leads, talk to us about that, because I could educate about probate and talk about how it pertains to real estate, but many don't see the side that you see about working probate leads, which is something you definitely wanted to talk about. So let's dive in on that. What is your perspective?
Okay, so I absolutely love probates. The first time I got into them, I told Tangi at foreclosuresdaily.com, who sells these probate leads, I said, I feel like I'm a kid in the candy store. Like, Okay, so what a probate is basically when somebody passes away, um, and and honestly, Al Nicoletti could much better give a
I'm
more legal
taking notes.
description.
I'm taking notes because I like to learn all of this stuff too.
um, so again, realtors were always looking for great leads. Well, these are perfect leads because somebody has passed away that has owned property, and that property is probably going to go to one child or more than one. More, depends on how many people you've got involved in the probate, and obviously the less people that have to sign, the easier. uh, Alice talked about doing some probates with as many as 10 people inheriting this property. So we've, come to love probates because that house is going to be sold. 90% of the time, that house is going to be sold. Very few people actually keep the house that they've inherited. For them, there's nothing invested, so they aren't as attached to the money. So, and they're not as attached to the house. For them, it's all profit, right? Like it's so. What I've noticed with a lot of the probates too, the people who inherit these homes from the deceased they're not expecting it, and they're suddenly overwhelmed because their life is suddenly taken on this whole new thing that they have, and it can be overwhelming because now suddenly they've got to pay taxes and utilities, and they've got to get a dumpster and have the place cleaned out and maybe do repairs. And so you think that somebody inheriting a house would be happy they just inherited a house, but it can be really overwhelming. And so one of the things that I like to do is see, with a win-win situation where um, I'm profiting and they're getting a solution to their problem. So if I can bring them a solution to their problem, um, and so a lot of times what I do is I will approach them as a realtor. I'd like to list your home, let me sell it. But I can also approach them as an investor or a representative of an investor and say, don't worry about cleaning everything up and paying for everything. I have an investor who will do all that for you and give you a cash offer now, like immediately. And sometimes I'll actually make the offer without even talking to an investor, because I know, let's say I know that that property, the ARV value on that home is going to be 250, and I know that the home is owned free and clear, and there's probably no liens or very few, and so there's like $150,000 of value for the client who owns it, the probate representative. So let's say, or maybe let's just say it's 100,000, and I offer them $100,000 for them. And a lot of times my investors will also pay the attorney's probate fees. So sometimes these people not only inherited a house, but they've inherited attorney's fees for the probate, and maybe they don't have it. So many times I'll go to them and say, my investor will pay your probate attorney fees. My investor will pay for everything that you're overwhelmed by and looking at. So it's a solution to their problem. And it's win-win for me because what I do with some of the investors, I'll make a deal with them. If I find you a probate or an off-market property, I bird dog it. And I'm not going to tack on a wholesale fee or whatever, but I just find it to you and give it to you, a bird in the hand. Then I want a finder's fee, a very small, modest finder's fee, but I want an agreement in writing that after you've rehabbed the house and you flip it and sell it, I get to list it. So that's my agreement with them.
Yeah, and you really love marketing. So enjoying a niche or really being passionate about a niche plus having a serious marketing plan is such a win-win. And that's why, like, mentality wise, not only do you understand the probate world, but you understand marketing and all of those little things that you can do. And you're constantly thinking. You're a thinker, Beth. So you think about, what strategy do I tweak? How do I make it better? What can we do better, or trying to get the attention and bringing solutions to the table, not more problems, and being
Right.
creative, right? So one of my signature questions that I ask, especially I guess when it comes to this right here, is how are you building that trust between you and maybe sellers or heirs or somebody that's looking to sell? I've had different answers, and one of them was Ron LeGrand. He was like, "Al, it's not about building trust; it's about building a relationship and solving problems and coming up with a solution that can help them." So that's along the lines of what you're doing. But then
Yeah,
you also have your marketing stuff. There's so many things that go into this pot. Talk to us about the marketing. Talk to us about the strategies and the solutions that you do on the marketing end, because that's
sure.
where it's coming from.
So have you heard of Brian Buffini?
No.
Brian Buffini is this great real estate guru, and he's a great mentor coach. He's hilarious. He's a comedian. Um, and he's a great author and great speaker. And I learned so much from him. One of the things that he focuses on is on the relationship, not the transaction. And one of the ways that he does it, one of his marketing things that I've kept and used, he talks about doing pop buys, where you pop by in on a client and you drop off a little bag of popcorn. So one of the ideas that I got from him was doing here's the scoop, and you drop off a little ice cream scoop. I go to Baskin Robbins and I actually buy cards that have an ice cream cone on it. It's like $2.96 for a scoop of ice cream, and I just buy 100 of those, and then I send to the probate representative. I send them a big envelope that has a neighborhood profile. And that's going to have all that. I told you I'm analytical. I love numbers. It's got all the beautiful graphs and colorful tables, median home, because they don't know. They've just inherited a house. They don't know the value of the home. They don't know the value of the median household income, the median household or home sale price for that area. So all of these stats and information are bright and clear, and it's not loud. It's simple, easy to read. I literally only send them like 3 pages. And so I print that off, and I print a little letter. I have the letter here.
Oh, we got
I
visuals.
just print a little letter that says, here, I'll read it to you. I understand you have a property to sell. I'm an experienced listing agent. I'm proactive and assertive in selling homes. My goals are to save you time and money. I have a direct connection to an investor who's willing to pay cash for your property. I can also offer you other options, such as listing your home on the MLS. That can bring you a retail offer for your property's peak value. My commission rates are competitive. Find out how to list your home or get a fast cash deal on your property. And P.S., I'm happy to give you a free property value analysis.
It's great.
So a lot of the protocols.
We're going to title that right there, the golden nuggets from Beth Burnett on probate letters.
Well, you know, the typical protocol for following with probate leads is you send them a letter, and it can look something like this. I buy houses for cash. You always want to use colorful envelopes and invitation size, not business size, because when you use the business size, they think it's a bill or whatever, they're going to throw it away. But
fascinating.
Also,
that's great psychology right there. I didn't even think about that.
It stands out. This is going to stand out from all the bills. This is bright. It's invitation size. It could be a sympathy card.
Do you know Jeff Rhodes?
I don't.
Oh, I'll have to connect you. So Jeff Rhodes he's out of Texas, but he has a company, Marketing by Hand. And his whole side hustle, his business is strategic thinking on doing mailers and doing direct mail. And so I had Jeff on my show about 2 weeks ago, which will be aired. I don't know when it will be fully aired, but the whole point of Jeff was that he gets the whole envelope game, the business game about why is it first class mail, and do you have a messy handwriter or do you have a clean handwriter? What's going to attract people? And I don't even know if we ever talked about the colored envelopes. That may be that's a crazy good one right there, Beth. Great golden nugget for people.
Thank you.
Love what you're saying about keeping it to this size, not business, because they will throw it out. Oh, junk, junk, junk. I don't think people think about that. They're not thinking about the strategies like you are. Keeping it small, it's going to be in the mail. But even Jeff was talking about, if you do first class mail, when the mail guy comes, it's at the top, not in the middle.
Okay. Okay. Right. I
Yeah.
didn't know that. And I am sending first class. So that's good to
Yeah,
know.
he has a whole strategy. I'll connect you to for sure, because
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah, because that may be something that you really enjoy. I was even thinking about a strategy of email, because everybody's doing mail, but what if you find email, but your email, it comes in an envelope. And so you just got to click the envelope, and then the envelope comes up a
Oh,
video or a letter or something like that. So
I
it's
love
almost,
it.
there's so many different ways that you could do things.
There
Um,
are, and I've basically just built off of other people's ideas. And like I said, as an entrepreneur, I've always just looked at what everybody else is doing and I try to do it better, try to offer more. So in my being strategic with these, now here's one of the problems that I ran into doing probates. I was getting about 20 probate leads a week, and I'm handwriting envelopes, for months. The problem is I would get 20 one week, and the next week I'd get another 20, and the next week get another 20. All the while, I'm sending out the second letter to those first 20. And by week 3, I'm sending out 60 letters. So my hand got tired and it was taking way too much time. So I just started printing off the probate representative. I just printed it off. And the first one is handwritten only. After that, I'm not writing hundreds of handwritten. It's too tedious, and I have a better use of my time. So what I do is I do the typical protocol of one letter, and then the next week another letter and another. But then I thought, okay, they're getting hundreds of letters and they're telling me, oh yeah, I'm getting hundreds of letters. And so what I began to do after after seeing that these people, I'm just, who am I? What am I to them? They're getting hundreds of letters. What's going to make me stand out and be different? So I just started going straight to the probate attorney, and I started mailing an offer. I just mail the offer. I do my research on the property. I write the contract, and I pop it in the mail and I send it and I will also email the probate attorney.
it's funny because I see this from a completely different perspective on marketing tactics, but if it works, everybody's got a strategy. I tell people, I'm like, at the end of the day, as the attorney side, we have no decision making in anything. So we're kind of like out on that end. But from
But
your
wouldn't you
perspective,
present it if you got
I think at the end of the day, it still goes down to it's
properties? Wouldn't you say, hey, I've got you an offer on your property?
well, it still goes down to this basics. At the end of the day, they are the decision makers on what they want to do with the property. And because so many of the things are
Sure.
already with contracts in real estate, so it's already kind of locked up and away, it's kind of like out of my realm. But I see it from the investor perspective. So yeah, listen to Beth,
Yes.
if that works or that's a great strategy, she loves doing that. There's different, you can't go wrong with the method that you're doing, as long as at the end of the day you're following up, you're being consistent.
Follow up.
Yeah, you're following up, you're doing what you got to do, and that's what you're doing, and you're being consistent. So probate has so many opportunities. I mean, and again, something I'll eventually do, and I'll have to do one in Tampa on it, and I'll do one for Frank too, and Dustin, is trusts, because you have probates. Trust situations don't come up as often, but once in a while, a trust can be an interesting source, because that person may have had 5 or 6 properties. And maybe when you find one, they don't have a successor trustee named, or they don't have this named or that name, and it could be a mess. So trust also kind of fall in that same realm as probate, doesn't come up as much. It's interesting because it all intertwines, right? It's
Yes.
all it's all somebody owned real estate, they died, or they had this and they died, and there's just so much in it that I think is amazing. And your marketing skills. So do you focus solely on just like direct mail and email? Are you doing anything else? Like, are you focusing
I
social media wise?
I do a lot with social media. When I was in Indiana about 5 or 6 years ago, I started a group for each town in my county, like Cedar Lake Homes for Sale or Rent, Cherville Homes for Sale or Rent. And as people joined, I would each week put the stats out. Like I would say every Sunday morning, did you know that there's currently 98 homes for sale in Cedar Lake? Here's a peek of what's available. For the full list, please contact me at letmesellyourhome@hotmail.com. And I got a lot of business that way. I'd say the first year I did it, I made over 20,000 in commissions just off my Facebook groups.
Wow.
So my first niche was actually horse properties, because I am an equestrian. I've ridden horses all my life. I've owned quite a few horse farms.
There's so much to learn
And
about Beth. I feel like we still don't know. We still have no idea. This is why you're
you'll
going to
have to
come in the
read the
studio. We're
book,
going to
right?
talk about this because we're going to find out the whole like detailed story. I mean, wait a second. So what's this?
Right. So I used to barrel race and rodeo, and breed and trade and sell horses, and I've owned quite a few horse farms, probably over 50 horses in my life.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm a horsey person. So that was my niche. I sold horse farms, and as a realtor, uh, I think, especially as a listing agent, what helped my sellers was that I was able to say, this pasture has fescue or timothy or alfalfa. This one has clover. Don't put your horses out there. They're going to foam at the mouth. It's good for goats and sheep. So because I had the agricultural background and the equestrian background, I was able to sell 5 horse farms my first year in real estate. So that gave me a big boost. And that was a lot of fun.
Wow. Like I said before, you still don't know people until you really sit them down and hear their whole story. Having 50 horses, being on a farm, I'm like, what have I been doing right now? I mean, you're going to
if you
foreign
go
countries?
If you look at my photos on Facebook, Al, you'll see a picture of me actually delivering a foal.
Really?
Yes, yeah. One of my mares just was walking past me, and out comes the hoof, and so I yelled to the kids, "Get the camera!" And we got it all, us delivering the baby. So that was pretty
Oh
cool.
my gosh. There's so
Cute
much.
little filly.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's it's amazing stuff when you hear people's side to this.
So
Animals.
with that, being in the equestrian world, I went to the Lake County Fair in Indiana, and I set up a Remax booth. And I had our big balloon. And so you talk about marketing. I gave out keychains, I gave out pens, I gave out cups, but I had my computer there and I had the internet. And so people would walk by and say, "Can you tell me what my farm is worth?" And, click, click, and there it was. And I was able to give them a CMA right there with my computer at the fair. And I want to say I made maybe $30,000 in commissions off of a $700 investment. The table cost $300, and then I'd say I gave away $400 worth of, keychains and things. So that was a good investment. It was 11 days. It was a long fair. There's only a couple of people in my office that wanted to share some of the table space and time. So it was exhausting to go there and set up every day for 11 days. But my lender co-marketed with me, and they came and gave me, food breaks and bathroom breaks and stuff. So it was dedication. But so I like to do festivals and fairs. I like to set up at things like that. Um, our in-house lender, Sydney Giancola from Go Mortgage, she's right across the hall from me here. She's fabulous. She's fantastic. And we've been getting together and having meetings to, mid-February, we're going to have a credit repair first-time home buyer class. We're going to be giving credit support. So we want to support people in building and not just getting it to us. They'll come back and buy houses from us.
So, I think where you're kind of going with this, where you're really heading with this is talking about not only just the marketing end, but being a proactive listing agent, because by doing these tactics and maybe, being out there in the community, setting up a booth, I talk all about the two concepts of being proactive and reactive. And the more I do this, the more I see that it's not just about real estate, but I love the real estate world, but it's all about business too. And even for things that I do in my business, I love people that are proactive, that are going to take the lead, take the charge, be self-sufficient and not be reactive to what needs to be done. And
Yes.
so when it comes to business, it applies to the real estate, being a listing agent, being a buyer's agent. And one of the things you wanted to talk about was being a proactive listing agent, being somebody proactive, take the initiative, take the charge, be the one to reach out to them first before they get to you, or be
Yes.
be communicative, right?
Yes.
Communication, again, it
Answer your
comes down.
phone.
What's that?
Answer the phone.
Answer the phone, right? Like call people back or email people back timely, maybe not that second, but you make a habit of getting back to people. So in the world of Beth, what is that whole perspective of being a proactive listing agent in the real estate world?
So one of the things that you said was not being reactive. And so as a listing agent, being a proactive listing agent, one of the things that I found early on when I was getting started with it was we would have problems, right? Like there's always some sort of something that pops up. So I said, how can problems was the surprises with the and you get a buyer, you get this offer, and then the buyer agent comes along and says, okay, well, we found this and this and this and this wrong. Now we want to negotiate further. And I'm kind of a tough negotiator, both on the buy side and the list side. And one of the things that I wanted to do was make my clients as much money as possible, save them as much money as possible. So as a proactive listing agent, one of the things that I do that's proactive, that's not orthodox in the real estate world, I make them pre-inspect. So that means, and if I have to pay for it, I pay for it. I have a really good relationship with my home inspector. He only charges me $190 for a pre-inspection. And basically what he's looking for is majors. We're not worried about the minors. We're not going to be complaining about a $5 GFCI or whatever. We want to know, basically it's kind of like a 4-point, how sound is the roof, the foundation, the electrical, the plumbing, these major things. Do we have a termite issue? Let's tackle that before we even put it on the market. So for me, and I've heard arguments against that, and they make sense. Some agents say, well, I don't want to do that because of the liability, because what if your home inspector goes in and he doesn't find something and their home inspector does? Well, yeah, that's a chance you take, and that can happen. And it does happen. But my chances of losing, okay, here's another reason I like to do it. If before we've listed that property, my seller has had the pre-inspection and we find things, he can get Uncle Joe to fix it, who knows what he's doing, for $20 versus hiring a licensed contractor to come and fix it at $200 an hour. You see what I'm saying? So they're saving money there. They're also saving money in the long run, because maybe that realtor is going to try to negotiate a $2,000 credit on a $200 repair. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean? Like this is what I've seen. So I feel that by doing those pre-inspections, another thing, my home inspector actually puts a sign in the yard next to my for sale sign that says this home has been pre-inspected. So when somebody looks at it, I think it gives them a little bit of peace of mind, but it also says this is a proactive seller. And it also says when you've got 20 for sale signs on one street, this one house stands out because it's been pre-inspected.
Yeah, and when you're saying inspection, my cousin Perrin, he told me about this crazy story when they were looking for a property in Atlanta. They were, I think they found something that was interesting, and thankfully they had a really good home inspector that found that there was lead issues in the paint, and then there were other issues. I think something about water, like being something was soaked under the carpets, or something was soaked on the the boards. Yeah. And without having somebody on your team like that, and having, being that realtor that's surrounded by good inspectors, good appraisers, that's a whole other thing.
Right.
Good people, good title, you can easily run into a lot of problems. And thankfully that situation they moved on from and found something different. But you have situations where you don't know what you're getting involved in unless you have that great team. So being
Yes.
proactive isn't just all about the client. It's taking the next steps to find the pieces and the team members so that you're ready to do this stuff,
Yes.
right? Especially with
Yes.
me, like finding the right branding, finding the right production team. I have an amazing super team when it comes to what I'm doing, right? But that took time, but that was because I was proactive in doing what I'm
Yes.
doing. And same
Right.
for you. That's what you're talking about. Being proactive
Yes.
is finding and building the pieces so that you can succeed and help others succeed with you, right?
Right. And I have to say that on the flip side, when I'm a buyer's agent, I'm also proactive, and I'm thinking in terms of, okay, when we go in and do the inspection, and when we find this, we're going to request that it gets fixed, or we're going to request a credit towards those repairs. But I also tell my buyers when we go into a house, how do you get a puppy? You start by asking for a horse. So when we go into that house, we're not just looking at the house. Maybe there's other items that are personal that we can throw into the mix, such as maybe a wine cooler, maybe the patio furniture, maybe the pool equipment. There's all these things, and so I'm actually taking notes when we're looking at a house. Like if I've got a couple and we're walking through a house and she goes, wow, that's just really the most amazing, saltwater aquarium. I ask for that to be thrown in if that's something. And so the whole psychology of the negotiation, of the give and take, and meet in the middle sort of thing. The more I've asked for, the more my clients are going to get. You don't get it if you don't ask for it. So um, and on the flip side of that, when I am being a proactive listing agent, those are things that we discuss. I tell them, be prepared for somebody to come in and ask for that. Another thing that I do that I think is a little bit unconventional with my listings is I put a QR code on every for sale sign that I have that takes them directly to a link that will give them a virtual tour. And it doesn't mean I pay an extra $40 per listing, because I've got my sign, and then I've got my QR code, which is an extra 20, and then I've got another sign underneath my sign that I've co-marketed with Go Mortgage, with Sydney Giancola. The rider that hangs underneath my sign says text for info, and it's a call capture. So now I'm capturing the buyers as well.
Wow. So yeah, it's a whole system. It's a whole
It
system.
is. Yep.
Yeah. Do you have CRM for all of this too?
I do. I was using, of course, Remax offers for free Booge. We have our own CRM. I use the actual GTAR and Pro, or well, Matrix. We've got our MLS. I use that for quite a bit. I'm looking into getting Real Geeks. I really like Real Geeks.
I never
Um,
even heard of that before.
it's a great CRM. They've been around a long time. I've used it in the past. It's a little bit pricey, but there's a lot of value. It's basically like giving your clients Zillow, but in real time. Zillow's not my friend. Their estimates are so far off, and I get buyers call me and say, I want to go see this property. I saw it on Zillow, and I'm like, yeah, that sold 2 years ago. So, Zillow can be a problem for me. I had a listing last year in Clearwater, and people kept calling me on it saying, but Zillow says there's a $400 HOA. There was no HOA. And I asked Zillow to change it over and over, and they wouldn't do it. So Zillow's not my friend. But what's nice about the Real Geek CRM is it's like Zillow on steroids. I mean, they can just go right in, create their own search portal, and put their own criteria in. I can put their search criteria in. So
It's good to have CRM like that, right? Because it keeps the
yes.
follow up. It's a system that keeps things going. You have to know where things are headed with clients and follow up. And is this a hot lead? Is
Yes.
this a cold lead? So many things on a CRM point. I even need CRM for
For the
what I do.
probates, I don't put my probates into the CRM. I just put them into spreadsheets. I like Google spreadsheets. You could use Excel or whatever. I like the Google Docs and Google spreadsheets and Google Drive, but I just put them in there. And my investors, I also put in there because, they're repeat customers. So I may have 10 open files on one investor. So I just use those spreadsheets for them.
So, Beth, in the world of Beth Burnett and your real estate world, when you're doing these deals, you're doing your marketing, you're doing what you love, which is finding these different niche areas, right? Whether it's probate or maybe just motivated sellers, period. What is one of your biggest tips for locking up those deals, the contract, and getting it to closing? How are you doing it? What's that strategy?
Well, I'm still learning, but one thing that I've been taking advantage of lately is here at Remax, we have an admin and he's the best transaction coordinator. And for me to pay somebody to manage my transactions, like right now I have 4 listings, 2 are under contract, and I've got a couple more coming up in February in the pipeline. So in order for me to be able to juggle the transactions, I just pay him to manage a lot of it for me. There's also a really great company out there. I can't remember their names, but I'm doing a deal with them right now. Joanne and Matt, they're professional transaction coordinators, and they handle everything from inspections, appraisal. There's another really great program out there. If you use Gmail, it's called Folio, and um, it it keeps everybody in communication with each other. It tells everybody your inspection deadline is now. It gives everybody a heads up on deadlines, timelines, what's been done, what needs to get done, and it's AI. It's all artificial intelligence. It's built right into your Gmail, and it collects all the emails that come in on that file and puts them into one file. Usually, you name it the address of the property. So that's pretty clever. Those are nice. Our back office here at Remax Elite has app files, and it's pretty great. It teaches you how to be organized if you're not normally an organized person. It keeps you organized.
Well, it's good. Being organized is very important, first of all.
Right.
Um,
Um, as far as holding deals together, again, I'm still learning on that one.
but I think you got the idea is that you're using these avenues like having administrative support and having transaction coordinators to help get you to that point. So yeah, sure, that is a great tip to have to lock up a deal because there's no rhyme or reason, there's no right answer or wrong answer for it. It's just a matter of what's working for you to get to that next level. I mean, again, when you're people are going to watch this, whoever is watching it is going to ask like, oh, how, Beth is successful because she's locking up these deals. And it's not because you're just being Beth Burnett, but you have a team around you. It's all about building the pieces around you. I can't stress that enough.
Yes.
I love having a
Yes.
team, whether it's the production team, the branding team, the video team, everything.
The
uh,
title, the mortgage,
Oh, we could go on about
everything.
title for sure. Having the right
Right.
title people around you, because I don't do title. I don't do any of that world. I don't touch any of the title stuff. I don't want to do closings, and that's why it's super important to find the right people that are gonna help you get to that next level. Very, very different, very important that you do. Beth, so while we're on that topic of blocking up your deals, another signature question I ask is biggest deal killers. What do you find, whether it's maybe you personally or you see it a lot, because you can learn about mistakes and issues from watching other people too.
Right.
But in your world that you deal with all the time, is it probate? Is it title? Is it appraisals? Is it the lender not or they're taking their time? Like, what is your biggest deal killer in the real estate world in Florida?
I recently had a listing that was under contract for 60 days, and the lender just really dropped the ball. The lender went out of town for a month and came back the day before closing and asked for a 2-week extension. And I was furious. We were all furious. And no fault of the buyer, no fault of the buyer agent, certainly no fault of mine or my seller. But We gave them 6 extensions and then backed out. So that was a deal killer. What could I have possibly have done to prevent that? Well, I certainly will never accept an offer, a contract from that lender again. But it was unforeseen. There was really, most of the mistakes that I've come across are unforeseen. There's some sort of surprise. I've had deals be killed because of inspection or because of, usually it's financing. So I think it's important to get a good lender who's maybe going to pre-qual people ahead of time. I think it's really important to educate your buyers not to go out and buy a car a week before closing on a house. You have to educate them, over and over. I actually saw somebody lose a $400,000 house because they didn't pay their Kohl's credit card.
Really?
Yeah. So I've seen deals go dead because they didn't pay their child support. I, again, as a proactive listing agent, and there were some red flags going up about the activities of the soon-to-be ex-wife. And so just on a gut feeling, I thought, I'm going to do a title search. I hate doing title searches, by the way. I don't like doing them because I'm always scared I'm going to miss something. But I did a title search on this property on my own, and I found a $7,000 jewelry lien against the property that I was about to list. And I called the husband and I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a professional. What do they say about the jack of all trades? You're the expert at nothing. So I said, I really am not an expert title searcher. Let's let the title company check this out and see if this is a legit thing. And sure enough, she had bought $7,000 worth of jewelry in his name, had not paid for it, and the jewelry store put a lien against the house.
Whoa. So it came down to jewelry? It came
Jewelry.
jewelry. So like a jewelry lien on the property. Never heard about that.
Yep.
That's a crazy story. When you're in the studio, we definitely gotta I'm gonna watch this again and be like, wait, what was that story? What was this little thing that you're talking
We should
about?
totally write a book, crazy stories from real estate deals gone bad.
Oh, wacky situations. Even Gina Dotson here was telling me about some crazy lien situation, something that was just not going away, and that she had to solve on a title end. She does a lot of title. And then there was somebody else that told me about a septic tank issue that it was great property, no problem, no mortgage paid off. But there was a nuisance lien issue about the septic tank, and it had racked up over 20 years. And so it was a massive lien that was almost going to kill the deal.
Was
So
it
I
like a
do
municipal lien?
something strange.
Wow.
It was like out in the middle of Florida that it wasn't supposed to be. There was not a permit. I think it was a permit issue, and they didn't
Oh
have the
boy.
right permit, and the fee and the fine racked up, and they weren't
Yeah.
expecting it, and everything else was okay. Taxes were paid, mortgages gone, no judgment liens, but of course the one thing, the septic tank issue, no permit, was a problem. So yeah, when you tell me the jewelry, we'll have to call that in the studio segment. We'll call it the jewelry lien deal killer. Like, what in the
Right.
world is that? That's
Yeah.
crazy. So
Yes.
crazy stories with Beth Burnett. I'll tell you that. I didn't know half or a majority of these things before we got on the show today. And I love talking to you about it because you're always so passionate. You have energy. You really enjoy the real estate world. And yeah, you were doing this in other places in Indiana,
Sure.
but then you come down to Florida and you're taking it by the reins. You're doing a great job with it. Beth, I love having you
Thank
on
you.
here. You're doing great. For all of those people out there that are looking for Beth or that want to know more about RIAs or more about mentorship, which is something we should talk about in the studio when we do it, because that's a whole other topic, right? We could go on probably another hour about being mentored, right? Diving deep on mentoring or diving deep on what the mentality is and how you learn and shadow. But for those that are looking for you, where can people find you and who do you want reaching out to you?
Definitely buyers, sellers, investors, and certainly realtors who want to know more about the investment side of things, probates. you name it. I'm here if I can help. And I do consider you, Al, one of my mentors. I've learned tremendous amounts of great information, real estate information, probate. They can find me at letmesellyourhome@hotmail.com. That's my email, letmesellyourhome@hotmail.com. You can also call me at 727-336-2306. Oh my gosh. The best number to reach me at, actually, and I don't answer texts on that other number. So the best number is 219-613-2329. Again, that's 219-613-2329. That's the best number to get me at immediately.
And what about all your Facebook, your social links? Maybe they can get you.
Yeah, Beth Burnett. I'm on Facebook. Look me up on Facebook. That's probably the best social media. That's probably about it. You can find me at the REIA meetings.
Yeah. And for those that are interested in REIA meetings in the Tampa area, the Sarasota area, definitely get in touch with Beth. You know, she can help point you in the right direction. She's an amazing resource. She's well connected down there, you know, with great people, Frank, Dustin, and we love Viviana. Viviana's amazing. She's a great networker too. Yeah, she's the best. Yeah, she gets
amazing.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've learned a lot from her as well.
Yeah. So I'm going to have her on the show eventually too. I was talking to her. She's like, really? I'm like, absolutely. Because
and there's so many things, like I was telling you beforehand, these beautiful earrings were made by Viviana, and she's a food scientist and she makes jewelry from food.
That's the other thing. That's what's so fascinating, is that you're not just an investor. You're not just a realtor. You also have another side, you know, of where you came from or what you do. Real estate could just be the side hustle.
Yes.
But you do things even outside of real estate, you know, giving back to the community. So, you know, Beth has a wealth of networks down there in the Tampa, Pinellas, Sarasota area. So that is another great way. We'll make sure we have your Facebook links, your social links. I'll get with you after so that people have that.
Sure.
You know, they'll get the whole episode, and we'll cut this up and do everything that we do. But Beth, thanks again so much for being on my show. You're invited back for the studio when I do it, because it's blank right now, but eventually it's going to have the shelves. We're going to have the in-person table. Wait till you see the table. It's going to be really cool with the microphones and then the cameras. It's just going to be a full out studio that's going to be here in my office. A convertible. I'll be able to take the monitors off and record.
That's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool, lights and everything. So thanks again, and I will see you soon, okay?
Thank you, Al. Okay, thanks. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, if you want more content like this, make sure you check out the Al Nicoletti Show and the Al Nicoletti YouTube channel at Al Nicoletti, and the Facebook page that you can find. It's either Attorney Nicoletti or under Al Nicoletti. There's the Facebook page, the business page also. So make sure you check that out. Got content on probate, quiet title partitions, and of course, we're going to have this podcast with the wonderful Beth Burnett. And there's other podcasts out there too of the people that I have had on my show, the Al Nicoletti Show, with the movers, the shakers, the real estate rock stars. There's so much content more to come, many videos to come. So make sure you check it out, and I will see you next time on the Al Nicoletti Show. Take care.